Hello everyone. The following presentation is a brief summary and analysis of Chapter 1 of Athol Fugard's novel Tsotsi. In this first chapter, we are introduced to the main character Tsotsi and his three gang members, Butcher, Diop, and Boston. Tsotsi is the leader of the gang. His name is the slang term for thug or criminal. This is fitting as his name suggests he has embraced the stereotype of a violent criminal as his identity. We will learn that it is not his real name, but that is what people know him to be. Tsotsi is about 20 years old and he is the youngest member of the gang. He is not unintelligent by any means, but he does lack an education and is unable to read. He is incredibly cruel and cold-hearted. Cruelty is what Tsotsi lives by, because violence and cruelty are all Tsotsi knows. Without cruelty and violence, Tsotsi has no identity, because he doesn't know who he is or where he comes from. Giving himself the title of Tsotsi and making himself this gangster gives him a purpose and an identity. Butcher is described as having small, dangerous eyes. He has an absolute lack of sympathy, no consideration, no morals, and a completely cold personality. We learn that he is a very quick and efficient killer, and thus we can understand why his name is Butcher. Butcher is not one of the smartest people. He is also uneducated, and the killing and violence that surround his gang are possibly the only life he has ever known. Boston, on the other hand, is the one gang member who is very intelligent and is educated. He is very good at telling stories and is described as the talkative one. The other gang members don't have the skill or the vocabulary to tell comprehensive stories like Boston. It is almost as if Boston provides the other three with a source of entertainment, even though they sometimes view his stories as meaningless ramblings. Boston is not violent by nature, and his reaction to robbing and killing people differs to that of the other gang members. He does not follow Tsotsi blindly, and in this chapter questions Tsotsi's decision to go to the train station that evening. We learn that Tsotsi really does not like it when Boston asks questions. Tsotsi knows Boston hates robbing and killing people, so he almost chooses jobs specifically to elicit a reaction from Boston. Tsotsi watches Boston for his reaction when he says they will be going to the train station. Boston knows he is being watched, so he just keeps his eyes down. Boston drinks a lot, perhaps to find an easier way to deal with the violence of the gang's crimes, and possibly also to try and drown his own feelings of guilt. We will learn later in the novel the reason Boston feels he doesn't have much of a choice but to be a part of the gang. Diop's name translated into English is the ape. Diop is given this name because of his long arms and because his knuckles seem to drag in the dust when he walks. He listens carefully to what Tsotsi has to say and relies on Tsotsi to give him a sense of purpose in his life. He doesn't say much and he isn't the most intelligent of people. However, his incredible physical strength is what makes him valuable to the gang, as it enables him to physically overpower their victims. Gumboot Dlamini is one of Tsotsi's gang's victims, whose story the reader learns in detail. Gumboot has a wife at home in the rural areas. He left her about a year ago when she was still pregnant with his child. He walked an incredibly long journey to Johannesburg to take a job on the mines. He is described as a tall man with a charismatic presence about him because he has a large, warm smile and a hearty laugh. Gumboot Dlamini is a decent, good man who works hard for his money to provide for his family. and he loves his wife just as she loves him. The novel explains that Gumboot is meant to return home to his wife in a week's time. The gang members sit around Tsotsi's room drinking beer. Boston Butcher and Diop are waiting for Tsotsi to specify what job they will do that night. Tsotsi decides they will head to the train station to steal from and or kill someone. Butcher begins to smile and laugh in response to Tsotsi's decision. On the way to the train station, Boston tries to make an excuse as to why they should not commit the crime. He tries to explain that sometimes you pick a victim and he lands up having no money on him. Tsotsi's response to this is that he never makes a mistake. Butcher's reaction to Tsotsi's decision shows his lack of sympathy and morals, and just how cold and callous his personality is, which is in complete contrast to Boston, who feels immense guilt for their criminal activities. The unsuspecting victim at the train station is Gumboot Dlamini, a tall, charismatic, and hard-working man. It is almost a year since Gumboot left his pregnant wife to go and work in the city on the mines. He is eager to make his afternoon commute so he can go back to his residence in the township to write his wife a letter which will inform her that he will be returning to her next week. Out of the massive crowd of people in the train station, Tsotsi targeted Gumboot for 3 specific reasons. Gumboot had a large, warm smile. He wore a flaming red tie with silver lightning bolts on it, which made him easy to track through the hordes of people. And the novel explains that in his excitement to get home, Gumboot forgot to separate his money for his train ticket from the rest of the money in his pay envelope, which means he had to reveal his entire envelope of money to pay for his train ticket. Gumboot Dlamini and the gang all get on the train. Because the train is so full, they must stand. The gang surrounds Gumboot. Diop, with his brute strength, pins Gumboot's arms to his side. Butcher has a bicycle spoke in his hand, and he sticks the bicycle spoke into Gumboot's chest, while Boston takes Gumboot's envelope of money. The novel explains that as the life is draining from Gumboot's eyes, Tsotsi bent close to the dying man and whispered an obscene reference to his mother. After everyone does their part in the murder and robbery, they leave Gumboot's lifeless body on the train. Tsotsi's obscene comment about Gumboot's mother as Gumboot was dying shows just how unbelievably cruel and cold-hearted Tsotsi is. Tsotsi almost relishes in the fact that hatred is the last thing on Gumboot's mind and face. We can ask ourselves why the author gives the reader the background story to Gumboot Dlamini. It is most likely to make the reader feel more personally connected to Gumboot. If we as the readers weren't given Gumboot's personal story, we would feel less sympathetic for him. But now that we know a bit about who he is and his purpose, we actually feel more sympathy for him. It makes the crime Tsotsi and his gang commit seem even more evil and senseless. In this chapter, there is a description of the street that the gang walk down. The gang have a bad reputation in the community, and this is evident when men look the other way as the gang passes. The women call their children in, and people turn the lights off in their houses. The gang are referred to as harbingers of the night. A harbinger is like an omen, a sign of what is to come. The sight of the gang is a sign that violence and criminality is expected to come. A lot of imagery in the novel focuses on darkness and light. Darkness is sometimes described in terms of shadows, and light sometimes from things like the street lights. However, these two ideas have more of a metaphorical meaning. Darkness in the novel can symbolize evil, wrong, and lack of morals, but also a lack of identity and memories. We will learn about Tsotsi's reference to his darkness in later chapters. Light represents good, morals, redemption, as well as identity and memory. Tsotsi decides that the gang will go to the train station to commit a crime. This decision provides them with a purpose. Before this decision, they do not really have any sense of purpose. It is a sad reality that these young men are living. It almost seems that outside of the gang, these young men have no direction and meaning in their lives. Thank you for watching this presentation on Chapter 1 of Tsotsi by Athol Fugard. Keep an eye out for summaries and analyses of the rest of the novel.